Greetings! I have more Timberborn tips for you, and if you find any of them useful, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel for more beaver fun. Let's go! Even though buildings don't work when underwater, your metal scavengers can still grab metal from those old rusting hulks even if they're submerged. Thus, feel free to flood areas with metal in them if you need them for reservoirs. Cozy in the knowledge that the metal is still scavengeable, just make sure to build some stairs down to reach it, and that your scavenging flags are on dry land. Decorations that overlap houses can affect beavers while they sleep. The same applies if they touch a building. They multitask the fun and awe at the same time. It's a great idea to group houses in a district so you can build the monuments nearby, allowing all residents to get the benefits of these very expensive structures. Note that each beaver faction has its own buildings, and while the aesthetics are different, the functionality can really change your playstyle. For example, the Folktales water pumps only go 2 deep, whereas the Iron Teeths go 6 deep. The Folktales can build windmills for power, while the Iron Teeth rely on timber-fed engines, and neither has access to the other unique power source. That means, excepting dams and water wheels, Folktales will rely on intermittent power from the wind, and the Iron Teeth will have to perpetually cut down timber to feed to their wood-burning engines. Beavers can walk and swim underwater, you just need to give them a stairway down. You can connect roads on the bottom to extend their range and even cross to another shore. One reason why staircases and single platforms are one of the first things you'll want to unlock with your tech points. Flooded buildings do not function when their entrance is underwater. See all those angry red icons? That means they won't work. Note that you can build folktale higher tech housing in the water as long as the entrance is above the water, and in these it happens that the entrance is on the 2nd story. Think of them as having an indoor swimming pool. Now do note that the dwelling does not block the flow of water and cannot be used as a levee or a dam. The water clearly flows through them, as you can see here. The water wheels are turning. The water is definitely flowing this way, but there are lights on indicating that beavers actually live there. Build an inventor's hut at the very beginning of the game and never let it stop running. You will need all the points you generate. There are some very expensive techs which cost more than 10,000 points apiece. Building multiple research huts and then pausing and unpausing them is a great way to reallocate seasonal unemployment as well as unlock tech. One of the first things you should do on any map is to build a levee and dam structure to hold water so that crops stay green and you can continue to pump drinking water during a drought. This is a much larger reservoir than a single water tank and buildable before the first drought if you have a narrow, shallow area of 1 tile deep by 2 to 3 wide. Otherwise, work toward this goal as one of the most important tasks to do in your colony. You'll want to build your water tanks near your water pumps to keep your productivity high. If you need to transfer water into town for drinking, use a hauling post instead to send beavers to deliver it there, since they can carry more than a water pump worker. You can change the number of working hours in the top right corner. And while this will add to productivity, it'll also decrease the amount of time the beavers have for sleep and recreation, possibly resulting in the lack of bonuses. Adding more working hours can be absolutely critical on difficult maps or hard mode, since every day that you spend in the wet season is another day your beavers don't die of thirst. Once you get everything going well though, shift them down again to make sure your beavers have ample time to rest, play, and rejuvenate. Speaking of bonuses, here's a tip from Ole Hansen. Nutrition 2 is effectively an almost 100% working speed buff for lumberjacks when chopping trees with multiple logs. A lumberjack will take the logs back to their flag before chopping the next tree, and the default beaver is only strong enough to carry 1 log. The 30% buff to strength is enough to allow them to carry 2 logs. Thank you so much, Ole, for that reminder. Nutrition 2 is satisfied by grilled potatoes, so get cooking. If you have a tip for Timberborn, let me know in the comments, and I may include it in a future video. There are a decent amount of hotkeys in the game to make building and planning much easier. Press spacebar to pause the time. You can press P to pause and unpause buildings. You can press delete and then enter to quickly delete a building. Or an even faster way is shift delete to bypass the dialogue entirely. You can move around with WASD, but when you press shift, it moves a lot faster. Z and C turn the landscape 90 degrees. Control H will toggle the UI if you want to take a very pretty screenshot. If you find yourself wishing that you were just a teensy bit closer to the metal deposit over here, or maybe that one over there, you can always delete and rebuild your colony center in a place that's more suited to your needs. You can also do this with other districts, moving their district center like this, pause the game, delete the building, and then replace it. That will give you more range on your district center, but all of your population will have moved out. So make sure you go back to one of your main cities and then move them back with migrate population. Farming is most efficiently done when farms prioritize planting. When a crop needs to be harvested, the beavers will harvest the crop, then immediately plant in the same square, saving the walking time of having to go around later and plant empty fields. The only time you want to change this priority is when your fields are dying out in the dry season and the crops need to be harvested immediately. Of course, in this situation, they cannot be planted in dry ground, but if there are open, moist fields nearby, the beavers will skip these to prioritize the crispy crops. If you want more beavery fun, please subscribe to my channel for more great content. Check out my other top 10 Timberborn tutorials, as well as my Let's Play colonies of both the Folk Tales on a chill map and the Iron Teeth on hard mode. All are linked in the description below. Thank you so very much for joining me. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you next time.